Okay. I'm basically just gonna record this on my phone and then overlay the audio as needed. Just chop it up. Yeah, yeah. Who knows? Here, let me kind of put it over here. But it's recording the desktop audio, so I'll be able to record whatever's going on in Ableton. So that shouldn't be a problem. But yeah, so actually, I just made a little slideshow thing. So this is more for like announcements plus kind of an intro to what we're gonna talk about. So I'll go through this. Damn, I guess there's spoilers if it's present. Okay, there we go. So yeah, I think in the original like meeting post it was like melodic minor, harmonic minor, and I think just the first three. I added Phrygian. I'm actually not really going to talk about melodic minor. It's I don't think it shares, like I think harmonic minor, Dorian, and Phrygian are a lot closer together, so it kind of makes sense to talk about them as a group. So I'm just going to do that. I got it, Google, chill. Okay. So, but first, some announcements. So we've actually been working on this for a while, and everyone in the pro exec Facebook chat has heard me talk about this for a while. But we're doing an event with KSDT and this org called Family Reunion that's based in San Diego, as well as DVC, and some other groups like AMG, which is kind of like pro plus DVC in SDSU. I think they were the ones who had the DJs for like the DJ battle that was against like DVC and UC, or there was like the UCSD DVC or UCSD SDSU DJ battle about a year ago. So if you guys were there for that, but basically it's this is going to be kind of just like a collaborative event where we're going to source openers from in and around San Diego, and specifically from pro DVC. We were trying to do Musicians Club, although maybe it wouldn't fit as well. I mean, they're still welcome to suggest any openers, but it kind of becomes a different setup with when you have like a live band and you have to mic up drums and things like that, whereas pretty much everyone else is going to be like a DJ or have some sort of different live set to some extent. And just to give you kind of an idea of what it's going to be like, we just booked Swum as our headliner.
Not officially yet.
Oh, not wait.
We have a verbal confirmation, but not a contract yet.
Okay.
So
So tentatively, we have Swum.
What happens if he doesn't do it?
I don't fucking know.
We'll figure it out. If you guys don't know who Swum is, he's like a big SoundCloud dude who does like lo-fi music and stuff.
Yeah, I can. I'll play some of his stuff briefly after all these announcements and whatnot. So yeah. So where is it? It's going to be at this address. I'll put this whole slideshow up on the Facebook page and whatnot.
If you guys don't know the address, it's Music Box.
Yeah, it's called Music Box. Hence the name Music Box Event, because we don't have like a real name for it yet. And when it's going to be the last day of February, so Thursday, February 28th. I put Swum as the headliner, but obviously, as Kendra said, it's kind of tentative. What is it? I mean, it's a concert, and yeah, I don't know. I was trying to be funny here, so just forgive me. But yeah, this is what it looks like. They got pretty pictures on their website.
They also have an LED panel, and I think one of our members at DVC will be VJing this event.
Nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, they got that like artesian granite shit going on here, like they got the works. Update on the t-shirts. This is kind of the work in progress design. I don't really like it that much, honestly. Like I'm probably gonna change a lot of things of it. First of all, I just want it to be one color because that's just cheaper to print. And then I wanted to try to isolate just the text here and perhaps make it a bit clearer. I think I have the Photoshop file. So I'm going to see if I can dig that up and then just tweak it to my liking and maybe add some more stuff. I actually really like the polygons. I was just like not, when I took them out, I wasn't able to like re-add them to my benefit. Because I want to be able to, or just maybe be able to generate them and then kind of like play with how many polygons there are and kind of like the density and whatnot. So yeah, I'll keep you guys updated on that every week, and I'll try to post updates on the Facebook page kind of more regularly so you guys can see like, okay, yay or nay, and maybe like based on how many people like one pick versus the other, like we can do that. And so they'll definitely be $15 or under. So $15 is like the absolute max. They will for sure be that or under. And then if you guys have a design that you want to submit, or like you're feeling frisky and want to, just flex your artistic merits, your visual artistic merits, then just email me at dgorge@ucsd.edu. And just send it as like a PNG or try not to send it as like a Photoshop file or like a PSD or something like that, because I don't have Photoshop on my computers. I just use like the ones in Geisel. But yeah, PNG. I want to avoid JPEG just because of the rounded corners and things like that. You get a lot of aliasing and kind of like blocky artifacts, which is not really nice. And it just kind of, it's hard to compare it between other things. So PNG would be preferable. Yeah. Okay, so music stuff, because that was kind of, just the minutia. So yeah, I'm just going to be going over terminology. I realize I throw these terms around a lot, and yeah, I just wanted to clarify it. So I'm going to go over this and then modes versus scales. So what's the difference between harmony and melody? I was actually kind of confused on this for a while, because like the two were kind of used interchangeably, and I was like, I don't really know what the heck is which. So melody is just individual notes in succession. Well, that sounds kind of obvious, right? Like you hear someone singing a melody or something, it's obviously one note. And harmony is two or more notes played at the same time, which is also kind of obvious, right? Like, you talk about like harmonizing chords or harmonizing a melody. But it gets kind of complicated when you're talking about like multiple instrumentalists, right? And if they're each playing a melody, they can be harmonizing with each other, but they're all playing melodies by themselves. But the total kind of sum output is like one harmony. So, you could play, like brass players could be playing different notes of like a chord, for example, and they would be playing a harmony together, but each of them would be playing a melody. So that's just kind of semantic distinction that I think is kind of important. Oh yeah, and then this is my 21 Savage joke. Like, you're trying to harmonize them, but like you spell it.
Yeah. The verse note spelled.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's just funny because it's like so out of the blue. Like of all the things, like.
My God.
You
have all the things from eating popcorn.
Yeah. And then also this is kind of an important distinction because we're going to be talking about modes and scales. So like, what's the difference between a mode and a scale? And the truth is, there's not a whole lot that's different. So it's kind of like natural numbers versus like integers, for example. It's like all modes are scales, but not all scales are modes. And honestly, in common practice, you could almost consider them interchangeable. But then, like that begs the question, right? Like, what are each of these things? So a scale can be a different number of notes in within an octave, or even spanning like a bit over an octave. So there's pentatonic scales. So this is probably like the first scale you learn when you're like playing a guitar, right? There's like the minor pentatonic scale where you just have like the normal tuning, and you're just kind of going down the frets in particular pattern. There's 7-note scales, so heptatonic scales, which is probably like the most common scale that we encounter, right? This is like major scale, minor scale. This is Dorian, this is Phrygian, and whatnot. There's also some kind of uncommon scales, octatonic scales. So there's like a whole note scale where it's literally just you start on C and you go a whole note up every single time. So it's pretty simple in conception, but it's actually kind of hard to use it in practice, because everything is just kind of like these very wacky intervals, right? You don't really have like your major and minor thirds anymore, because you only have like even subdivisions of an octave. So you get all these like weird dissonant qualities, and not very many people, I mean, I'm sure people in UCSD music department use it, but like, the average EDM producer will probably not use an octatonic scale. And so modes just refer to variations of a 7-note major scale. So the major scale is technically a mode too. It's called the Ionian mode. And so usually every other scale is just described relative to that. And I won't go into exactly how each scale is derived, but that's kind of the gist of it. And the minor scale is also just a variation of the major scale. So the 6th degree, meaning like the 6th note in any major scale, will be the root of its corresponding minor scale. So like C is a good example, right? So you have C major, the 6th note in the scale is A. A minor has all the same notes as C major, but if you play it starting from A and then go each white note, you will sort of realize that, okay, this is the minor scale. Like the spacing between each of the notes is exhibits the minor scale. So yeah, I just did that second to last bullet point. Since all these are technically still 7 notes, they're still scales, right? It's just kind of a subset of 7-note scales. Cool, onto Ableton. So what I did so this is not the project file that I wanted. I just want this as background music. So essentially what I did was I basically just made like a really shitty trap beat. And then, wait, I have a mouse. I don't know why I'm not using it. So I have some drums. And then I have this melody. So this is the natural minor scale. And I picked A minor. So it's just all the white notes. And then like last time, I'll post the MIDI for this so you guys can just kind of play around with it as you see fit. So kind of cliche melody. Little bass action. There's some clickiness in there. I don't really like it, but that's not really that important right now. So this is the natural minor scale, and then I'll kind of go over within, like what's going on within each thing. Oh, I just realized I probably should have clapped when I was starting so I can align it. Fucking whatever. But yeah, so I'll actually play each of them, and then so in order we have the natural minor scale, so just regular A minor, all the white keys. Phrygian, which is the second degree, so the second note in the scale is flattened. So instead of going A to B, it goes A to A sharp. So it's like da da, it has this kind of like spooky sound. Harmonic minor, it's kind of the same thing, except you're basically leaving a half step between the 7th note in the scale and then the following root kind of just above that. So usually in a minor scale, there's like a whole note difference or a whole tone difference between the 7th degree and then the 1st degree, kind of an octave up. But this time it's just a half step, and that kind of gives it that same kind of, it gives it more like an Arabian vibe, kind of. Arabian, Middle Eastern, whatever you want to call it. I don't want to stereotype it that way, but like, harmonic minor. Yeah, so it's basically so in A minor it'd be all the white keys up until you'd go, what is that? E, F, and then you G sharp, and then A.
Okay.
Instead of G to A, you would go G sharp to A.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Dorian, I believe, is... Shoot, what is Dorian, actually? I kind of forgot.
Sorry, the name of the other one was harmonic scale?
Harmonic minor.
Harmonic minor.
Yeah, there's also a double harmonic minor, which is kind of cool. Haywire actually wrote a song in a double harmonic minor scale, which I really, really like. It's called Dichotomy, so it's kind of a fitting name. Yeah. That one, yeah, you could definitely tell it has like a very, very kind of like prototypical Middle Eastern kind of like swangy vibe to it. I actually forgot kind of what Dorian. Yeah, I think it's Dorian has... Oh no, I think it's like a sharp 6th or something. I don't know. Yeah, it's a sharp 6th. And I don't know. We'll figure it out. We could always just look to Wikipedia again. So I'll just play all of these. I'll just let him play all the way through. And then, obviously there's like a space in between them, so it won't be like too jarring. So it's natural minor. And then so it's Phrygian. And then Dorian coming next. Yeah. So I tried to accentuate those differences. I think especially in the harmonic minor, like this little end bit. Very like, you can imagine.
Like that.
Did I make you do that, Darda?
I mean, that's true. Yeah, we took that art of. Wow.
What the heck, man?
Okay, YouTube. Actually, no, fuck it. I'll probably just.
We got on record. We got
But yeah, like.
40 years later, like, in the office,
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's the only way I could really describe it. That's like the main association people have.
No, okay.
A lot of Spanish music actually has that too, because like Granada, like the southern part of Spain, has a lot of I mean, they were just a part of the Ottoman Empire, I think, at one point. So, so yeah, okay. Let's go over the natural minor scale just as like a basis. So, usually when you kind of look at notation, so I'll kind of like pull up Wikipedia just to give you an example. Minor scales. So I found the notation a bit confusing at times because they kind of describe it like this with they say like flat third, flat sixth, flat seventh, and I was always like, okay, well, like what the heck does that really like you know what is this relative to? But it's you know like it says it's related to its parallel major, which is just a fancy way to say the major scale that has all the same notes, right? So basically when you're talking about a major scale, its relative minor is the scale that it shares all the same notes, but it's a minor scale instead of a major scale. And then the parallel major is when you're talking about a minor scale, and then you're talking about its major scale that has all the same notes. Mm-hmm. I don't know why it's just not just called the relative major and relative minor. Like that would make life a lot easier.
Yeah.
But you know, music. So the flat third just refers to basically you're having a minor, this is like the minor third instead of the major third, right? So in A major, you would have A, B, C sharp. So that would, you know, A to C sharp would be your major third interval. But this time, you know, you're flattening it, so now you have a minor third interval. Same thing with the sixth. So instead of a major sixth, you have a minor sixth. Same thing with the seventh. Instead of a major seventh, you have a minor seventh. So that's all it really means. Oh yeah, and they tell you handily right here. So that's way too quiet anyway, okay. Nice. So I'll kind of just go over the melody a bit. So I was trying to use basically every note in the scale, and I think I succeeded. Did I? No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, okay. So yeah, I used every note in the scale. And so, you know, I'll kind of go over what the difference between like the minor and major, I guess, sounds like. So this would be the major. Like it changes the tone, right? Like just this little half step. Like it's just so out of place in like the context of this whole thing.
But your sixth is also in flat, so it's kind of weird if you listen to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know, now if you're like, ooh, I want to be spooky on this. And then, oh yeah, I just did the glides by turning on glide and then kind of overlapping these notes. That's why this sound. So yeah, I like this little half step dip, just because that's kind of one of the defining things of Western music is like, you know, where those half step relationships lie. So it's always good to kind of exploit those, or at least in my opinion, it's always good to exploit those. So yeah, that's pretty much the only thing I wanted to talk about. Oh yeah, and then I think this is the flat sixth. So this is the 7th degree, so this would be the 6th degree. So usually in a major scale it would be this. So let's try it with the basic, almost major. Actually, no, I think this is pretty much the major scale.
You should bring your. Did you bring it up? Oh yeah, you brought it. But no, wait, your G should be a G sharp, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So that would be exactly. That would be entirely major. So this part.
That F needs to be F sharp.
Oh yeah. So that's why I was like.
Yeah, there you go.
Wait, what is this one now?
Oh yeah, you're right.
We're just
So-
in major now.
Yeah, so I basically just turned the minor scale into the major scale. And so we're going to see how basically the movement is the same, but like the global shape of the melody is the same, but the kind of sound is... Yeah, it's not the worst, right? But it's like... Yeah, like exactly, we could do better. It's like Maroon 5, like trying to write like heavy trap music.
In conclusion, major sucks.
Final verdict. But yeah, and then so switching back to...
Just throw it away.
We only need harmonic minor.
Yeah. So then switching back to minor. So yeah, big difference, right? Just with those few half-step changes. So yeah, that's all I'll talk about. And then Phrygian is cool because it's just basically a minor scale, but like literally the only difference is instead of this, right? And that already makes like a pretty huge difference. You'll see like a lot of trap artists do this little arpeggio, I think. That's like, whoops. Oh no, whatever. I can't. Like, I don't know.
Too fast.
Yeah, maybe I should. Here, I'll just double it. Actually, I kind of like. But yeah.
Kevin just like unzips his mask and he's hiding from ice.
Okay, yeah. So this is the Phrygian. So this is back to the Phrygian. I also, instead of going back to the root, or I think, yeah, instead of going back to either A or C, I kind of forgot which one it was. I go back to the second degree, so it kind of creates that tension again, where it's like just a half step off. It's a half step higher from what you would expect, what your mind kind of expects it to go down to. So this versus. So this is Phrygian, and this is just normal minor. Yeah.
Yeah. Like what I said, big pioneers of like this style. If you guys listen to Rez, her melodies are all in Phrygian. Pretty much every single melody she makes are all in Phrygian.
Okay. Well, that's just what I was thinking about. If I understand this correctly, you're saying the only difference between this and the minor scale is that the second one is flatted, so it's
Yep.
A, B flat. So, and I think it's also common to play it where you have parallel major.
Mm-hmm.
Is like this is built in the same way except for
It's
the same note that's corresponding. Yes.
Right.
You have like I think it's called a dominant seventh. Is that what it's called? Or
I don't actually know
you
what
flat the notes. So basically, you'd be playing with the same notes as in this one, but you'd be starting at the note of the parallel major.
Oh, so C. Okay,
yeah,
I see.
You're starting with C basically.
I see.
B flat. That's supposed to be a common thing that people do. I think.
Oh yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah, because when you're making like the dominant fifth, usually you're. Wait, no, would that be? No?
That's pretty much.
Oh no, sorry.
That's pretty much a Dorian scale. What you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
But then you're using a different key. Well, not necessarily. It's a Dorian scale, but you're moving. I don't know which note, but you're moving another note flat instead of it being just regular.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, actually no. You're supposed to move another note flat. No. I think it's actually just a Dorian scale.
Okay.
Yeah. That entire thing.
That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, that's Phrygian. Pretty nice, pretty sweet. That little arpeggio, it's like will get you through any trap banger. Oh yeah.
Neuro based.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah,
neuro funk music. I mean, is all like that too.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to.
Just 3 notes.
Yeah, it's hard to ascribe a tonality to a lot of neuro music though, because it's like, it's and some people have made the same argument with trap music, but I think it's a bit harder to make with trap music because there's still like a melody. There's still like a lot of harmonic elements in there, harmonic and melodic elements. Because now you guys know the distinction. And so this is the harmonic minor scale. So it's pretty much a regular minor scale, except the only difference is that the seventh is sharp. So usually it would be G. It's G sharp now. And then, oh wait, what the heck did I do here actually? Is the sixth? Maybe the sixth is sharp too. I don't know actually. I think maybe this is accidental.
That's wrong.
Okay, yeah, okay, this one is wrong. So this sounds kind of awkward here, so maybe I'll move it up to like.
To up.
These?
Yeah. Maybe.
It's just the seventh or.
Yeah, well, this would be the nat. Wait.
No, wait, for harmonic minor, I think it should be F natural, not sharp.
Oh, okay.
So
I was kind of suspicious that, yeah.
So,
Actually, let's consult our friend Wikipedia.
I
Harmonic.
don't use this scale a lot. I'm sorry.
yeah, it's just
So sharp
the
seven.
Seventh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, just the seventh. Okay. Following
That's
it.
literally
Oh,
it.
what?
It's
Okay.
just, yeah, you just have a sharp 7.
So yeah, minor scale, but raise the seventh. That's okay. So yeah, so this part is the real bread and butter of this scale. But it's you might be kind of thinking like, okay, well, Phrygian does the same thing here, right? This little half step kind of spooky thing. So it's like, what's the difference really? And the difference is just kind of like where in the scale it lies. This is going from the lead. So this your leading tone is a half step below the root, right? So your root is kind of like the foundation. You're like, okay, at the end of a melody or at the beginning of a melody, I kind of want to like return to that. That's kind of like that feeling of home, or at least that's like the kind of analogy always used when talking about writing melodies or writing harmonies and things like that. So having it be the leading tone versus having it be just a half step off from the root is like way different, because in Phrygian, right, you could just avoid that second degree actually quite easily, because in a natural minor, for example, the second is diminished. So like a lot of people just don't use the diminished chord. And so this way, I think you'd just be creating another minor chord with the Phrygian. So, you can kind of like more or less forget about it and still pretty much use Phrygian without actually really exploiting that difference. Here, it's a bit harder because a lot of different scale degrees sort of rely on this for that, fifth or the third or whatever. So it's a bit harder to get away without using this, which is why I would consider it different, like kind of fundamentally different. In practice, it may not be super different, or sonically, it may not sound like super different to you guys. But again, it's kind of adjusting the taste. I personally can definitely hear a distinct difference, because I tried to keep the melodies more or less constant and everything else around it constant. So that should give you an idea of the different feel. So Phrygian is. I just feel like it's distinctly different at the end, especially the beginning. Maybe not as much, because it's pretty much. It's the exact same note. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. And then let's go to Dorian. Let me see if I can figure out what the heck I did here. Anyway, so it's clearly you still have the flattened third, right? So instead of C sharp, you have C. And then, okay, this is pretty normal. Oh, I guess you just have maybe a sharp sixth in this case relative to the minor. So usually the F would be here, now it's F sharp. It seems like everything else is pretty much the same as your regular A minor. So Dorian, think about it as minor but with a sharp sixth. So kind of an easy way to remember that. And so this is what Dorian sounds like again.
Then if you, like what you were saying earlier, if you switch it to its
parallel
its
major.
relative, or parallel major, I guess, it's basically a major scale, but you have one. I think it's your 1, 2, 3.
This
It's
would be
sick,
fun if
yeah,
we
you're-
did the same thing with like C. Actually, no, never mind. Hold on, I'll hold off on that.
Okay. But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, hold that question and we can talk about it later. So this is what Dorian sounds like. So to me, this melody sounds like it would go better with like some piano chords or something. Like especially this feels kind of more almost like Seven Lions-esque. Like has that kind of I don't know, like chill kind of anthemic vibe to it, I guess.
If we compare it with the original one, that'd
Sure.
be best.
Yeah. So this is a natural minor. And then this is Dorian. So, natural minor.
This just got a sharp 6. That's what it is.
Yeah. And I think oftentimes most people don't even realize it, but they end up actually writing in. Whenever people are trying to write in minor, they often write in Dorian, just kind of as a consequence, because it has this like slightly different tonality to it. Like a pure minor scale is actually somewhat boring in a lot of contexts, or it's just actually like really hard to manipulate. And you know when people think of like ooh minor keys, sad keys, they're not thinking of like super sad morose songs, right? Like they're not thinking of like
Also,
Eric
usually
Satie.
when you talk about minor key, sad key thing,
Mhm.
you don't really like make the entire song in like basically an entire minor. You switch between a major to minor type
Mhm.
of deal where you move from a happy sound or a happy note to like a sadder, more sad note.
The saddest note is A, because it's the first letter, and 1 is the loneliest number.
That
If
is
A equals
true.
1, dropping them knowledge bombs, dude. That's what. I don't know. But yeah, So Dorian could be kind of cool. I wish I thought of more examples of like songs that use this. But I personally really like Dorian whenever I'm trying to write a sad-ish song, but like not just trying to be like depressing, right? Like from the get-go. I know some ambient music tends to use this, although it's kind of hard to tell with ambient music because everything's kind of like a drone and like drenched in reverb and whatnot, and like any sort of tonality is more or less lost, and you're just kind of like, So yeah, I don't really have much else to say for this scale in particular, and we're about at like 45 minutes. I'm sorry I couldn't record on the mic. I think that would have been a lot better, but hopefully I can line up my phone's audio quite well, and I'll try to edit that as soon as possible. But yeah, just a reminder again, like please, we'll actually a quick note that I forgot to mention about this event is that the orgs that are hosting it, so like DVC, KSDT, and Pro, we're gonna get basically like pre-sale tickets that are gonna be quite a bit cheaper than the baseline tickets that will be sold online. So most tickets are going to be around $15. I think it'll start getting like 20 and 25 at the door, but that's like if you're like really really late, right? And you just like have FOMO or something. I don't know. But like we'll be getting tickets for around $10. So that's, I don't know. I mean that's like a pretty good deal, like in my opinion. The event goes to like 1:30, and it's possible, though unlikely, that we might have 2 headliners. There's going to be actually like a pretty good mix of stuff.